Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. My name is Sean, and with my wife Emily, we are married to the trail. Usually I am reviewing shoes, but today we are going to be reviewing the Ultra Lone Peak Hiker 2. So the reason I got these is that we have an upcoming trip that we are taking to Norway and to Germany. We're going to Tromsø, Norway to go see the Northern Lights, hopefully. And we are going to Munich for a few days after that. And I wanted a good boot that was lightweight and would be able to handle some snow and ice when we encounter it. I love the wide toe box on the Ultras. That's sometimes very difficult to find, so I really wanted to replicate my running and trail running experience, and so I went ahead and tried these. Never worn them before. I did try them on at REI, and so I decided to pull the trigger when they were on sale. First thing I noticed about these is that they are really light, like impressively light for a boot. The pair of them weighs 1 pound 9.6 ounces, which comes to, checking notes, 25.6 ounces total, which divides to 12.8 per boot. Now compare that to the last shoe that I got, which is the Ultra Olympus 6, which comes in at 12.2 pounds. There are 0.6 ounces difference between these guys, and a pretty incredible difference about the usage, the wearage, and there is obviously a significant difference on what they're used for and how high they sit. The second thing I noticed about these is that the first time I put them on, it was a struggle. These are a lot more difficult to get on than a traditional boot. There's this little loop in the back here, which I'm assuming is for helping me get the shoe on, or the boot on, but it is not helpful at all. I would have done better with an upper like this that has something I can put my finger in at top. This almost feels useless at a certain point. As you can see from my struggle in the video, what happens is my heel pushes down on the back here and it curves in. And that makes it pretty difficult to get these on. Once they're on, they're super comfortable, and getting them off is really easy as well. But it's just that initial getting them on. I feel like I may have to spread the laces out quite a bit to actually get that tongue up to get my foot in. The third thing I noticed, and I'll keep it focused here, is that the front here is suede, which I think is a really interesting choice for a boot, a hiking boot. They're very pretty right now and pristine, but I'm assuming after my trip to Norway and Germany, they will not look very pristine, especially if we encounter rain and snow, which we are definitely scheduled to do. The interior is still nylon. Make sure my foot stays nice and warm when we are out in the cold. 25 millimeter stack height, which is great, and you can see some awesome lugs in there for grip on the snow and the rock and the mud. Like I said, they look really pristine right now, but let's take a trip to Norway and you can come with me and see how these things work in the snow and cold. All right, my wife and I finally got back from our trip last month to Tromsø, Norway to go see the Northern Lights. We were there for about 4 days, and then we had 2 days in Munich as well. And the entire time I was wearing the Ultra Lone Peak Hiker 2. So initially leaving from Charlotte, where it was 50s, 60s, stuff like that, I did not wear these. We took a carabiner and connected these to my bag on the backs of the hooks here. I did not check a bag. We did not check a bag. So I actually just attached those to my carry-on. It worked out really well. I have to say, I love these shoes, these boots. While I was walking and doing a bunch of different stuff, we went to, our first stop was Munich, to Oslo, to Tromsø, Norway. We absolutely walked everywhere. So these boots got tested by everything. We were walking around the city where they experienced rain, they experienced snow, they experienced ice, sleet, all these different things. And I gotta say, they held up really well. In Tromsø, we went to go feed reindeer, so I was in mud. We went on a fjord cruise, so I was walking through peat moss and all these different things, and I thought they performed really, really well. The front would get wet here, but what I noticed is that almost 100% of the time, my feet stayed very warm. I think that was the first thing that I really want to call out here. The other thing is that these are extremely comfortable. If you're used to a Lone Peak and you're used to this feeling of this shoe and the comfort level, this is simply just maximized. I thought these felt like regular tennis shoes while I'm wearing them. We took them on all this different terrain, and the one time that my feet got too cold, and this is probably the biggest con, is when I was in the snow. So one of the Northern Lights tours that we went on 2. The second time we went, we drove 3 hours to Lapland, Finland. And the driver got the minibus stuck while trying to pull off the highway into the snow. And being a former Minnesotan, I'm very familiar with pushing vehicles out of the snow, so I volunteered to help. And so I stood in my Lone Peaks in the snow in Finland for about a half an hour, just helping them, moving the truck, trying solutions, all these different things. That was the point where my feet got cold. And my toes specifically got really cold. And I just don't know if these boots are really ready for 8 inches of snow or standing in 8 inches of snow for 20 minutes. They're just not built for that. Everything else we did, where we were hiking, we were doing all these different things, it worked. They worked great. And obviously they held up absolutely wonderfully. But I will warn you, I do not think these are snow ready. The second thing I noticed is that this tread, much like the Lone Peak tread, is not built for ice. And so we did encounter some ice while we were walking around Finland and looking at the Northern Lights, and these things slipped. I don't think they slipped as bad as some of the standard boots that other folks were wearing, but these definitely slipped. So next stop, we went to Munich, Germany, where we obviously walked around again, went on a bunch of walking tours. We love to do that. And we went to Neuschwanstein as well, and we hiked behind the Marias Bridge, and we went behind there and hiked up to the top. These things performed incredibly well. I was very thankful to have these because the way that the hiking was laid out in that Bavarian was just these old trees, old tree roots, a lot of rocks, a lot of unsure footing, and these things came in really handy. So you can see they got beat up a little bit. There's a little bit of movement there just from the amount of use that we did. I highly recommend them. Great boot, wonderful boot. Hope you liked the review. If you do, hit the like button, subscribe, all that wonderful stuff. Appreciate your views, and I hope this helps you make a decision on the Ultra Lone Peak Hiker 2. And we will see you next time.